who are my top 15 NFL teams going into the 2023 NFL season. Number one, Kansas City Chiefs. Very simple, very straightforward. Best quarterback, best head coach in the league, coming off of a Super Bowl MVP, number one offense. We know what Kansas City brings to the table. Number two, even though Joe Burrow is going to be missing possibly week one with a calf, which I'm not really buying. I think they're milking this story a little more just to possibly get people on edge. Um, I'm going to have the Kansas City Bengals. I'm going to have the Cincinnati Bengals here at number two because this is an offense in the league that can hang with the Kansas City Chiefs, that has seen the Kansas City Chiefs the last couple of years in the AFC title game, who might be due for a Super Bowl this year. We'll get into those complete predictions later of the postseason. I think y'all are going to freak out over these power rankings and might even lose your mind over my complete postseason predictions coming later on. But the Bengals at number two, this is a team that has been surging for a while now. And you really don't want them to lose that spot. You don't want them to fall out of those top teams in the league because of how really great it is for the league that a team like the Bengals has come around over the last couple of years. And I don't believe they're going to be losing their spot anytime soon. And number three, the Philadelphia Eagles. You could have argued that the Eagles could be at number two. I do think they're going to have a slight regression with a lot of change, with losing both coordinators, with, yes, they do have a lot of draft talent coming in, and I think they're going to be absolutely fine. But a slight regression down here to number three. Still believe in Jalen Hurts. Still love that offense. Still love that defense. Again, they have different coordinators. I'm believing more in Nick Sirianni. And I always knew Jalen Hurts was him. You guys heard me say it when I came back on the show, and y'all heavily supported it for me as well. Here's where it might get kind of crazy for y'all, but number four, I'm buying into it. I've been saying it. I was turning away from it, and I really am switching sides on it. Number four is the New York Jets. Yes, you heard me correctly. Take flight with Gang Green and Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. Hard Knocks is really showing an insight to how happy Aaron Rodgers is, how in control Aaron Rodgers feels, how Randall Cobb is stepping up for him, how Aaron Rodgers is really working the toolage of his team, just cussing players out when things don't go right, looking in the film room, making adjustments. He's got control. He's got arguably the best defense that's ever been behind him. He's got a great roster around him that, yes, is young, but he will be able to mentor this team. Yes, he does. Robert Saleh, who isn't the most experienced head coach, but Aaron Rodgers coming over here to the New York Jets. As the time has went on, I just envision Rodgers more and more at the end of the year holding up that Super Bowl trophy. And I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but something deeply inside tells me that the New York Jets are going to be a team to be reckoned with this year, and largely because they will have an efficient passer of the football and a legend in Aaron Rodgers. Number five, the although they are well put together, always respected what they brought to the table. I love the offense. I love Josh Allen as a quarterback. He's low-key one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league, built like a monster. I wanted them to make a move for Jonathan Taylor. I wanted them to possibly make a move for a Saquon Barkley. Get that superstar running back in your backfield. Get an extra weapon, of course, for Josh Allen, which they did bring in Dalton Kincaid. And, of course, they do have Stephon Diggs. And Josh Allen said it was never a scare or an issue that he thought Stephon Diggs was going to get out of town. Number six, the San Francisco 49ers. I know a lot of people might have put them higher on this list, but I want to see what Brock Purdy does for all 17 games. He did look good last year in winning those games before he had to come out of the NFC Championship and then come back in. One of the craziest title games that we've seen for sure, especially with the injury history of the quarterbacks. But I believe in Kyle Shanahan. I believe in this defense. I believe in all of the offensive pieces that are around Brock Purdy, and I even believe in the offensive line that he's standing behind taking snaps from. But what is he going to do when the season gets going thick? What is he going to do when he does have to win the game on his arm? Can you do that? I'm not going to say for a full 17, games, because you're not possibly going to have to win the game every week on your arm. But what is Brock Purdy going to be as this season unfolds? He's got it all around him. I think the season rides and dies on Brock Purdy here. Number seven, give me the Baltimore Ravens. I had to think about this before I put the Ravens back up this high. but I really believe Lamar is going to be healthy this year. He's got the O-line to possibly keep him stable. The rec room could be a little more healthy, but I said this was another team that could trade for Jonathan Taylor. They've still got one of the best defensive cultures, one of the top elite defenses in the league, one of the best head coaches in the league. He's got OBJ. He's got Zay Flowers, who is one of my favorite prospects and wide receivers coming out of the draft. Mark Andrews is still a top 3 tight end in the league. Everybody's thankfully and hopefully coming back healthy for the season. We know it's impossible to stay healthy for really all 20 or 21 games, depending on if you get the first round bye of the NFL season. But the Ravens have everything in place. I believe they're going to return to that team we've seen a few years ago, and Baltimore is going to be fun to watch. At number 8, give me the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson are finally stepping into the top 10 rankings consistently for a lot of people around the world. You look at them winning the playoff game last year. I don't care if the Chargers chargered. Trevor Lawrence threw 4 interceptions in the first half. And the former number 1 overall pick possibly looked like Mr. Irrelevant for a little bit of that playoff game. Then he turns it around, gets a great head coach in Doug Peterson, who a lot of you a lot of you seem to forget the respect he's earned and deserved because of how he won that Super Bowl with Nick Foles, because of how he was able to work that toolage of Carson Wentz and win that Super Bowl against Tom Brady in Philadelphia, putting up the most points on a Bill Belichick defense, especially in the Super Bowl in that year, bringing it back to the Jaguars here. I believe a lot in Doug Peterson. Calvin Ridley is here. Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne in the backfield. Always been a believer in Christian Kirk. I like some of the pieces that they have there on defense, and the Jaguars are here to compete in a loaded AFC. At number 9, and maybe you could have swapped the two of these, but now I'm really looking at quarterback and coaching duos as we head down. This defense is going to matter, no doubt. And I wanted to do a top 15 because damn, isn't the NFL competitive this year. At number 9, the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, like I've been saying all year, are really going to bring the magic out of each other. Sean's never had a quarterback like this. Russ has never had a coach like this, at least in my opinion, offensively. Being that offensively minded, Denver's got one of the best elite defenses in the league. Sean Payton stepping in to really take over the reins, Russell Wilson is not washed. You're crazy as hell if you think one season from him, under a horrible coaching job is actually going to want to make sure my stream's good. Yep, we're good. That a horrible coaching job is actually going to denote him and knock him down from being a top quarterback. I comfortably have the Broncos here at 9. At number 10, this is where it gets a little dicey. The top there or the bottom 6 teams here in this top 15 power rankings. Number 10, give me the Los Angeles Chargers. If that defense on paper is anything like it should be, that will easily hold this spot. We know what the offense is capable of. Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler have to stay healthy. I love that they bring in Quentin Johnston, kind of a similar guy to Mike Williams, but we knew Keenan Allen's getting older, necessarily staying as healthy. They needed some health in that room. We clearly know what Justin Herbert is. The Chargers would be higher if Brandon Staley wasn't coaching this team. And I believe Brandon Staley has everything really within him to coach this team to a higher level, to get them to a Super Bowl, to get Justin Herbert to an MVP competitive level, which he usually plays at, of course. But the Chargers are too stacked on paper. I know they just blew the major playoff lead, but they're way too stacked on paper for me to not put them in here in the top 10. At number 11, give me the Dallas Cowboys. And again, the Cowboys would be higher as well if I felt like their quarterback and head coach situation was really more solid and respectable. There's no doubt that their offense is elite. There's, again, even no doubt that their defense is elite as well. You look at a lot of these teams that are up here, really outside the Bengals and Chiefs and really the Bills, you got some great defenses all the way around. Maybe not so much with the Jaguars as well, but Broncos, Chargers, Cowboys, you've got defense here. And with as balanced as the Cowboys can be with them, always having that capability of having the best offense in the league. Now I believe Kellen Moore is gone, if I'm not mistaken. Did Kellen Moore, did he go to? Yep, he did go to the Chargers. Man, that's going to be a lot of fun for. I think I just saw Kellen Moore's player image. That was funny as hell. Wow, dude looked like Drake May just from a glance. But yeah, the Cowboys at being number 11, I don't think you can refute that. They're a very balanced team. Again, I like what they bring to the table offensively. And if Dak and McCarthy were more trustable and better, I think this is a consensus top 5-6 team in the league. Just when you ask people, hey, on paper, the Cowboys are capable of so much. And you'd like to believe that they have that capability to go to the Super Bowl, but the Cowboys will more than likely Cowboy. And number 12, my New Orleans Saints. I did want to put the Saints higher here, But I'm just going to keep it real with myself. I even wanted to possibly put them 10 or 11 spot, but I think Dennis Allen as a head coach does hold them back some. That's more of a minus than a plus, in my opinion, especially as a diehard fan. Now, don't get me wrong. Dennis Allen can absolutely step up to the plate this year with, a little bit of a revamped team and having 1 year under his belt, getting that veteran back in the building, kind of having some, familiarity with Derek Carr. But we're going to need to see what the offense is going to be. We do have Alvin Kamara out for the first 3 games of the year. We did just revamp the roster, and overall, we have to see what the defense is going to be like early on. Saints have a ton of potential in a weak NFC, no doubt about it. Notice how they are one of three NFC team, one of 4 NFC teams in my top 12 so far, as the AFC clearly does dominate here. I wanted to put my Saints higher. I really would, but I'm not going to say they're better as of right now in my head with the football knowledge that I have than the Cowboys, Chargers, Broncos, Jaguars, Ravens, Niners, Bills, Jets, Eagles, Bengals, Chiefs. I'd love to put them higher, but I'm sticking them here at 12. Number 13, the Cleveland Browns. I'd love to have them higher as well, but we have a question mark on Kevin Stefanski and Deshaun Watson. I still believe Deshaun Watson is that dude, no doubt about it. I understand his off-field things kept him off the field for a while, and he missed a whole season, but Deshaun Watson can easily still be him. He can still be that Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen prototype. If Deshaun Watson's in the MVP conversation this year, I'm not shocked. I've got my close eye on the Cleveland Browns this year because I know what they've got on that roster. But Kevin Stefanski, after the first year coming in, revamping everything, playoffs, obviously misses playoffs and then wins even less games than the second year and misses playoffs again. So he could possibly be on the hot seat. Don't doubt the offensive talent that they have in Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb, Amari Cooper. And of course, the defense, the front seven that they bring to the table has always been stout, especially over the last couple seasons. And number 14, give me the Minnesota Vikings. This is a team that, of course, can float anywhere from 8 all the way down to 13 to 15, depending on how they want to play. We know Kirk Cousins is, for the most part, Mr. Consistent. Pretty textbook when it comes to what he's supposed to do as a quarterback, but he can win the game on your arm. He can make big throws. And for the most part, Kirk Cousins is a very respectable, top 8 to 12 quarterback, depending on who you ask, in the NFL. Now, the defense is a big thing that holds me back. Did they, excuse me, who's their HC? Because I feel like I'm about to butcher that. Is it still Kevin O'Connell? Okay, yeah, it is Kevin O'Connell. Now they do bring in Brian Flores, which I like a lot, which I like a whole lot. I love Brian Flores coming in. I said it was a legendary hire, no doubt, for the Minnesota Vikings, and I think they're going to see that, be displayed. But even if Brian Flores gets that defense back to where it needs to be, I believe the offense can hang with all of the teams that are above Browns, Saints, Cowboys, Chargers, Eagles, Chiefs, Bengals that I have up there. There's no doubt that the Vikings can, but how is their defense going to fare for them in a league that is so offensively driven now? And at number 15, I had 6 teams to pick between: the Lions, the Steelers, the Dolphins, the Giants, the Falcons, the Seahawks. Maybe you don't agree. I'm just liking what I'm seeing from these rosters, from these squads so far. But when I look at head coaching, this quarterback can definitely step up to potential because they did last season. Maybe not against great competition, but the wide receivers at his disposal were crazy. At number 15, I'm going to go the Miami Dolphins. I've always been a Tua lover. I've always been a Tua believer. I'm a lefty just like Tua. I played football back in third grade, but I never played quarterback. But I throw a football left-handed in real life. So I totally resonate with Tua having to think with a different side of his brain. The world is not built for you. It's kind of built backwards from our perspective. And he's battled a lot. He's battled concussions. He's battled, some injuries over the last year that really worried us about him. But he does have a Tyreek Hill. He does have a Jalen Waddle. He does have a Mike McDaniel, who I think brought greatness out of him. And Mike McDaniel has done a great job with that Dolphins team so far. Again, the defense can be something as a highlight of this team because they do pick up Jalen Ramsey. Now, he is going to miss, I think, until about December, so they might not feel his presence until it comes down to crunch time for playoffs. But the firepower of the Dolphins was way too much. I mean, I think the firepower of the Dolphins, even possibly with their quarterback situation, I mean, yeah, you might want to see the Lions or maybe the Seahawks in there, but I'm on the Dolphins. Not even hype train. I've just liked them as a team, and especially since Tua has started to get, some recognition and getting his reps up in the league. I'm always liked him at Alabama. I didn't really care that he took Jalen's job. I still think Jalen is a better quarterback, but I will have the Miami Dolphins here as my number